Senator Kane. Senator Mullin, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. General Fenton, can you explain to us, and I know you've been asked this question before, but I just want it for context again, the value of the SOF community?
Senator, I think the value of the SOF community transcends all three mission areas that we have right now. Our integrated deterrence approach, which previous was strategic competition, the days before the tragic events of 9/11, when we were out developing partners and allies, competing for relationships, building partners of force, of choice, and in many places with our security cooperation approach, actually strengthening nations across the globe. I think that's called for even more now. And as we come forward with 20 years of hard-earned combat credibility, a technology fluence, and an incredible formation, the SOF formation is it's a formation that knows the hard skills, it knows technology, it deploys around the world on a moment's notice, and in that case, all that value transitions over to integrated deterrence. On the counterterrorism side of the House, Center for 20-plus years, in places all over the world, your Special Operations Command team, along with the rest of our military, interagency and partners, I think brought immense value to this nation, disrupting, degrading terrorist actor networks globally. And figures and names that many folks know here are no longer and have been removed from the battlefield, are no longer a threat to this nation. On crisis response, our ability as SOCOM to do, within a very short notice, deploy forces and arrive in a country and either safeguard our U.S. diplomats, citizens, or rescue them if that is indeed the task, and then bring home safely, I think is all part of the Special Operations Command value proposition. And I would add a very small investment on the budget that we're very grateful for, and I think a very high return on investment across all those and many more that, in the interest of time, I can follow up with you in a classified session.
One last quick question for you, and then if you could be brief on it. I'd like you just kind of explain the partnerships that we have with our allies in Europe and how that is benefiting us in, I would say, with Russia's illegal invasion of Ukraine.
Senator, I go back to a very specific part here of the very high value proposition I think your special operations teams bring. It started with a relationship, our ability in small teams to be with Ukrainians in the mid-90s, develop a level of trust. Speed of trust is important in these, as you know very well. And then in 2014, began in earnest a level of training that was about resistance and resilience, and those look like skills of developing a military, Ukrainian special operations that has an NCO corps, that knows about mission command, has initiative, and frankly has been, as I have seen and certainly talk a lot about, very valuable to the Ukrainian military effort writ large. I think we've also had the ability to learn from them. They've got an incredible way that they take equipment off the battlefield, re-engineer it. That's really great for us because we learn as much from our partners as I hope they do from us. So I think in a very small way, that ability for the Ukrainian SOF and the Ukrainian military to resist and now absolutely certainly fight against this aggression and has paid dividends, started with a high investment with your special operations team.
Thank you so much. And Mr. Chairman, kind of divvy here a little bit. General Nakasone and I have known each other. And I just want to raise a point here. The General is over a program that's very forward-leaning, and I would ask that we would ask the Senate Intel and the House Intel to brief us on a program that General Nakasone is over, and it will reflect, in my opinion, his complete incompetence and his ability to lead this program. I think it's important when we're talking about a budget that he's over, that it is important for us to know that we have leadership there that we can rely on to make sure the dollars are protected and the investment has a return. And I think before we can do that, we actually need to know what has happened. I was involved in a briefing when I was on the Intel committee that turned into a hearing, and I think it's imperative for us to know the general's risk-adverse approach to a program that needs to be extremely proactive.
Thank you, Senator Mullin. Your comments